Yes, everyone, what's going on? My name is Stephen Howson, and this is a tactical preview of United against Sevilla. Europa League semi-final, third semi-final of the season in what's been a pretty ordinary season. Can't be bad, eh? And Ollie does mention that. Let's get into the quotes. He says, we've had two semi-finals before, but we want to go to the next step. Reaching the semi-finals is a good effort, decent, but it's not good enough for Man United. I would agree on that. It is a good effort, and it is decent, but it's certainly nothing to have a parade about. And I think getting to semi-finals is an indicator of how effective we can be in cup competitions. And I did a podcast with Al and with Joe last week, and we was talking about actually Solskjaer's record in knockout competitions pretty good in the grand scheme of things. So good signs. Certainly not bad signs to be reaching semi-finals with a team that we all would agree is far from perfect. And shows that the guy needs backing. And talking about wanting it more than Sevilla, he says the team has been developing and getting hungrier. Let's make sure that hurt that we felt in the other two cups can be the marginal difference in that we want it more than them. When I lose a game or I lose at something, you don't want that feeling again. So I would think they are ready for Sunday. He says physically we're all fine. All the teams have played many games now anyhow. It's not about it's about who is mentally strongest. You've got to be strong mentally, concentrated and focused, and any of these games can be and will be decided on a marginal decision or finishing. We've just got to keep the players focused with the right attitude. So several days to prepare for it. United seemingly without that back four of just permanently injured players. Luke Shaw, Dalot, Tuanzebe and Phil Jones. Outside of that, everybody who's travelled is supposedly fit. Sevilla are only missing Gudelj, who tested positive for COVID. Apart from that, they've got a fully fit squad. Past meetings, some of the worst memories of Jose Mourinho. We've never beaten them. Our only two meetings came in that 2017-18 season with Jose, the round of 16 tie in the Champions League. We played out an absolutely diabolical 0-0 in Spain before bringing them back to Old Trafford and beating them 1-0. Oh, no, that didn't happen. That was the plan. We got absolutely twatted. 2-1 at Old Trafford, and honestly, the writing was on the wall there for Jose at that moment. That was one of the lowest I've felt. We've had some bad defeats of late, but that was just helpless. That was just like, we're getting taught lessons here. There's no fight. It was almost so bad that you don't know where to start when you're like, right, okay, what happened there? Just sometimes you could lose a game and maybe one player's done you and you go, do you know what? Better marking there. We sort that. If we'd have scored that chance, we're in. We were so bad against Sevilla. We were just devoid of energy, emotion, intelligence, penetration, marking, finishing, crossing. It's like that quote from David Moyes, isn't it? United are doing all right, but we need to get better at goalkeeping, defending, passing and shooting. Oh, fucking everything then. We were so far off the pace, it was bad, and I didn't think we'd be in the position that we've managed to find ourselves in now. And I think beating Sevilla convincingly would be quite cathartic for a lot of United fans and almost put away, do you know what? We actually can compete, but it's still a big ask. United's form, 16 wins in our last 23 games, 6 draws, 1 loss. The FA Cup defeat to Chelsea being the only one. In that period, we've won 8 of our 10 Europa League games this season, losing just once against Astana when we played the youth team. We've scored the most goals and conceded the least in the competition. That bodes well. We've scored 14 and conceded just twice so far in the knockout stages, but we've only won 13 of our last 56 against Spanish opposition. We've lost 18 of them, and the last 3. Last 3 results against Spanish teams: 3-0 Barcelona, 1-0 Barcelona, 2-1 Valencia. Sevilla have ended the season in good form, remaining unbeaten in their last 19. They've won 7 of their last 8 and conceded just 1. They are the Europa League's most prolific winners. This is their competition. 5 times they've won it, including 3 years in a row from 14 to 16, going on to win the competition each time that they've got to the semi-finals. Fuck's sake. And they've lost 4 times in 22 meetings against English opposition. Okay. Their last 3 results against English sides, they beat Wolves, they beat United, And So, bit of tactical insight into Sevilla. Lopetegui likes to set his side up in a bit of a 4-3-3. Goes with almost like a workman-like, energetic sort of midfield. Not dissimilar to how Liverpool will play it, with work in the midfield three. Banega, primary creative spark. Extreme intensity is what you're going to be looking for here. If they press United in our back line, we need to come up with a plan B, and we need to play over the pass, I think. I don't think you're going to play through it. I think you need to play over it. Which is why I think Ighalo wouldn't be the worst start. We'll get to my starting 11 in a minute, but I don't think Ighalo will be the worst one. Star man is Lucas Ocampos. I saw him from Marseille when I went and hung out with Uncle Pat. And I thought he was the only player in that Marseille team that looked any good, to be honest. I thought he was decent. Suso's also a threat from the wings. They've become really good defensively under Lopetegui, and it's 4-5-1 out of possession, working and grafting. They do press high up the pitch, which worries me, because United have been wank when we're getting pressed, forcing them to try and play out from the back. There's been some similarities drawn between them and Guardiola's City this season. Obviously different levels, but people are drawing the parallels. Navas and Reguilon voted the La Liga's best fullbacks this season. Maraud up and down the touchline, offering support and inverted runs, and they totally congest out that final third when they're attacking. They're a good side, and they're going to be a big test for us. I expect them to take control of possession, which does favour United. Go with a high line, and they're gonna really give us a proper test. If we can overcome this, I think we win it. I'm very nervous about this though, and I'm very cautious that we're going to go through this. I mean, obviously, all I've got to do is turn up and watch it, but I am nervous that we're going to struggle. Let's have a look at my 11. There are no shocks in the 11 at all. Big Dave, Wan-Bissaka, Williams, Maguire, Lindelof, Matic, Pogba, Bruno, Mason, Martial, Rashford. You knew that was what was going to be the crack. That's the crack. And the only change I could consider making would be to go maybe a bit more 4-4-2-ish with it and just almost miss the midfield and really have someone that can provide an outlet. We saw how effective Ighalo was against Manchester City when we brought him on and asked him to hold the ball up to get us out of that press. If I was Solskjaer, I'd be very seriously considering having that from the start. If not, you need to have it ready for the second half, I would think. We're going to need to bypass the press. The story of the press and how United deal with it will be the story of this game. The story of how United counter-attack when we've allowed them over the halfway line will be the story of this game. And I think if United wanted a chance in this game, Ighalo should probably be playing. But that's what I think we'll play. And yeah, that's the one. Key player for us, it's Bruno. Did you honestly think it would be fucking anyone else? Again, I think he's faded a little bit, but he's still pushing hard. I can't believe the slander that he's getting at the moment. Do people just try and pick holes in obviously brilliant players to make it seem like they're more intelligent or something? What the fuck? Because it does the opposite. If you knew anything about football, don't try and look at the pass completion rate of very offensive attacking midfielders, because their completion rates are always in the 70% kind of range, because they're making things happen. The riskiest pass on a football pitch is a through ball in the final third. Of course it's the riskiest pass, because you're trying to thread it through defenders who are knowing what's coming, trying to time it for an attacker to run onto it. It's not knocking it about between two centre-halves with no one near you. It's the easiest pass in football. This is the riskiest passer in football. This is the riskiest passer in United's team. He is the guy that we're pointing at and going, make something happen, mate. And if he doesn't make it happen, guess what? It don't fucking happen. Allow him the freedom to fuck up from time to time. Do you know the two players who lose the ball the most in world football is Kevin De Bruyne and Lionel Messi? I guess they're shit too, right? Craig says, how much piss will it boil if we get another penalty, and how good will that be? Mint. We seem to start slowing all our games without crowd to get them pumped up. What would I do in Ollie's shoes? Don't know. Is it something you've got to start in training? Have you got to set a target for, fire off a number of shots? We used to start really fast, didn't we? I don't know if that's just something that's changed recently, or our team's trying to come at us, seeing how fast we start, and it's going head to head a little bit. How likely are we to go to extra time, as long as we can defend against a team that are so organised, and when does that become a problem in the match and the prospect for the final? It's a problem now. It's a problem now that they're very good defensively, but like Manchester City, because of that high line, because of that high press, there's always no team covers every single area of the pitch perfectly. Every team goes, I want this, so I'll give you that. Or I want this, so you're going to get that. You have to decide what you're going to give and what you're going to take. You can't say, I want to be totally defensively strong, but we're on an attack with 10 players. How can you do that? You can't do that. It's not fucking physically possible to do that. So you have to say, right, if I want to be compact, which means having a high line, which means that line gets all the way up and we're 25 metres from striker to defender, we're having a nice tight pitch where it's congested and you might be able to bounce balls back and this, that and the other, I'm going to leave 40 yards behind me. Okay, well, we've got quick defenders and we can work on a couple of triggers to be able to start dropping. And it's a risk I'm willing to take. If you haven't got those players in your squad, let's say you're an older back four, let's say like the back four Moyes inherited, you go, probably not the best thing for us to have a defence so high. Vidic, Rio, Evra, they're not all going to get back. What we'll do is we'll have a wider or a longer pitch, and we'll try and stay 20 yard out from our box, and we'll try and hold them up to there before we have to drop back, and then it's only 20 yard, not 30, 40 yard, and you're not going to see so many balls pumped in behind on the off chance. The good thing for United against Sevilla is United are one of the fastest teams in Europe, I think. I think that's why we're getting so many penalties. Because as long as there's contact, VAR's giving a penalty. And our players are fast. And we're getting in places where we're drawing fouls. So, I think that they're very, very good. But I think, like Manchester City, we kind of have a way to play against that kind of system. Reckon we can make it to the final, at least given Ollie has only managed semis. Well, it's only a win. Anyone from the Sevilla team I'd take at United? There's probably a few that can take spots. There's no one that you go, he needs to be in a United shirt come what may. But it's one of those, isn't it, where maybe in a couple of years you'll look back and you go, he actually made that team tick, and yeah, probably would. Sevilla like to keep the ball. We do sit back and let them. Do we sit back and let them have it and hit them on the break? Yes. Or do we press high and force mistakes from their back four? You can do both. So when a team likes having possession and they like to creep up towards a halfway line with it, yeah, you can totally collapse into your defensive shell and your defensive structure, and you can try and hit them on the break. The pressing at their defence in their third happens when you've had an attack that's broken down and you try and win that ball back fast in that the opposition third. You don't necessarily have to do two things at the same time. They're not different, or they are different. They can happen at different points in the game. So I think, yeah, that is totally what you do. Immediate press for trying to win the ball back, but not sustained. It's a quick one. Didn't get it? Let's fall back and let them have the ball. Because they're not dangerous when they're on the halfway line passing it around 80 times between the centre halves. They're just not. How different is the feeling going into this game than when we last played against them? It's still weird because I'm not at a game. And it's still weird because I don't know. Does this feel real to anyone? Does this coronavirus football actually feel real? Or does it? There's still like a pre-season element about it, isn't there? You think? Or is it just me? Sevilla unbeaten in 19, conceded 1 goal in 8. How do we break down the defence? Speed. Like old Mick would say in Rocky. You got to catch grease lightning. Sevilla are a tidy side. It's another semi-final, having lost 2 already this season, and there's been a decent break between games. Is it fair to say that we're going to see what this team is about in terms of quality and winning mentality? Yeah, and I think we've actually been pretty good in the big games. Now, if you look at the 2 semi-finals that we've lost, we lost one half of one game against City, and we won the 3 other halves. Now, obviously, they scored way more goals, and that's why they went through to the final. The other one we rotated for, and we fucked up. And arguably, it was one of the worst refereeing performances ever, and didn't have a control of that game, and I put him partially at least to blame for that result. So, have we really performed that bad in semi-finals? Apart from that first half in the first leg against City, where honestly it was helpless. I was looking at it and I was like, man, we're shit. The common denominator is that City team pressed us to death, and they pressed De Gea and they pressed Phil Jones, and we just fucking crumbled. And Chelsea pressed us. Now, Sevilla are going to press us. Do we have an answer? And that's where, I didn't put him in my team because I don't think he's gonna, but I really would be considering throwing a Gallo in the mix there, and maybe alongside Martial. Inferno, is it games like this where we need Fellaini to bomb it up to, whilst having Pogba on the bench? Why can't Pogba be that guy? Because he can actually bring it down and play football, can't he? Fellaini just won the aerial ball. I was going to say won the header, but he didn't really win headers. He just controlled it on his chest like it was a basket. He didn't really win headers. He dealt with everything in the air, didn't he? But he didn't really win headers. But then he didn't really play with it once he won it. So you're like, oh, he's winning all. Well, he's not really fucking doing anything with it. But if you go back to the Europa League final game against Ajax, we escaped the press of Ajax by having Fellaini to go direct to. I think it's a valid option. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Ighalo in this. If they've done their homework, that's a great way to escape them. And you've got to think as well, Sevilla are surely planning for Mason, Marcus and Tony. Surely. So what if you played Ighalo even right wing? Ighalo right wing is your first outlet. And all he's got to do is try and get a flick on, and you have Martial run beyond. We could do that, and that could be quite effective. We've got the players that could find him. I don't know. I don't want to predict a loss. I am not fucking confident. I'm going to say I predicted that we're going to lose on penalties. I'll be fucking devoed if I'm right. But let's try and be optimistic and say 1-0 Bruno penalty. Let me know in the comments. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Give us your score predictions. Who you think is going to be the key player? And who do you think we're going to get in the final? See you next one. Laters.